In this video, I'm going to do an unboxing and full review of the Tanita RD 953 body composition scales. Chances are, if you're watching this video, then you're thinking about buying a pair of Tanita scales. And before I go into the 953s, I have also made a video on the 545s, which I will link up here if you are interested in them as well. If you've already watched that video, then the format of this one is pretty much the same, so I will put the differences of the two scales at the end of this one. The 953s are part of the top spec scales in the Tanita consumer range, and they're priced at £196. They're quite a lot of money, so what makes them so special? They give 11 different readings with medical accuracy, including body weight, BMI, body fat, muscle mass, muscle quality, body type, bone mass, visceral fat, BMR, which stands for basal metabolic rate, metabolic age, and body water. These scales can take a maximum weight of 200 kilograms, and they come with a 5-year guarantee, which I think is really good considering the price of them. The scales are supported by an app which is free to download for Android and Apple. You can have 4 users on the app, and there's also a guest mode where someone can just step on and all of the readings are given on the scale, but they're not sent to the app. I'll give you all of the juicy details about the scales and the app in a minute, but first let's do an unboxing. Standard documentation. All the Tanita scales come with the batteries. Nice. These scales come in platinum and black. Straight out of the box, the machine is really easy to set up. You don't need to use your mobile or the app to get your readings. You can just step straight on and all of the results will be on the scales. But by using the app, you really get the most out of the device. Let me show you that now. During the setup of the scales, you're going to need to download the My Tanita app and then set up a profile. And then you get the option to connect the device to the app. Start pairing and press and hold the 0 on the scales. Your pairing is successful. You'll need bare feet in order to take your body composition, and you can either start the scales by selecting the user via the up arrows on the scale, or even better, use the app to start the scale and then step on. After about 5 seconds, it will display all of the readings on the screen, and it will also display your readings on the app. Coming into the app, you can use the measurement tab to start your scales, and that way all of the measurements are sent to your phone. Alternatively, you can just step on the scales and the measurements will be on the screen. Heading into the results menu at the bottom, then you've got all of the results that you've ever taken. If you click on one, then it will give you the date at the top, and it will give you all of your readings across the top. You've also got an info button here that tells you where you are on a scale, and then it will also give you a description of what that reading is. It will also give you all of that information in a slightly different format underneath. And if you tap one of the buttons, it will tell you where you are on the scale, and it will also give you a description. So loads of places in the app to explain exactly what everything is. Coming back to the home page, you've got your trend chart, which is pretty cool because it will show you a graph of all of your measurements. The best one here is, for me, body fat. You can see it went up and then it come down. So you can imagine over the course of a few months, then that chart is going to give some really good information. Again, you've got an info button here, which gives you all of the same information as before. And then coming up into the menu tab, the profile lists all of your information, and you can also set targets for yourself. And when you reach your target, the app celebrates for you. The measurements explained is pretty useful. It shows you all the measurements that the scales take, and when you hit the tab, it gives you an exact description of what that reading means. What me and my housemate Rachel do is we record our results every fortnight and then we put them all in a spreadsheet. But you can also do it like this. In the results section, if you tap one of your readings, come to the bottom, and you can export all of this information as a PDF. And that looks like this. And then another bonus is that the scales do connect to Google Health and Apple Health. I don't personally use those, but if you're already using them, then I can see that as a huge benefit. Next, we'll go into some sciencey stuff. And these scales have got a dual frequency BIA technology, and that stands for Biometric Impedance Analysis. This is two small electrical currents that come up through the scale and pass through the body. The two currents are really small and they're perfectly safe for the human body. And one current has a slightly higher frequency than the other, so it means that there's even more accuracy. And you usually find this kind of technology in the scales that you get in doctor surgeries, at gyms and with health professionals. Something important to note, and there are a few people that can't use these scales, and that is if you've got a pacemaker, if you're pregnant or trying to become pregnant, then just use it for body weight and don't use that dual frequency, just because the currents aren't recommended for that. If you're unsure, then speak to your doctor. So what's the conclusion? Are these scales worth £196? I think these scales are awesome. They're really easy to use, they're super quick, they give so much information, and they provide a really good motivation for increasing lean muscle mass and decreasing body fat and visceral fat. If your scales are just measuring body weight, then just bear in mind that muscle is heavier than fat. I think it's really important if you're wanting to change the way that your body looks and also how healthy your body is, then it's really important to know not only your body weight, but your fat and your muscle. If you're wanting something of a higher spec to these scales, then consider looking at the RD 545s, because they are a segmental body composition scale, and that basically means that you're going to get the muscle mass and body fat of each arm individually, each leg individually, and then your torso. Those RD 545s, they're £250 more expensive than these, coming in at £436. Just consider if you need that segmental reading. You'll definitely know what suits you, and you'll also know which suits your bank balance. Before we had these scales, my housemates and I, we had a cheap pair of $1.99 plastic calipers from Amazon and a tape measure. And then we'd enter all these measurements in a spreadsheet and have to do tons of equations to work out our body fat. But it worked out really time consuming and it was so inaccurate. That's when we decided to invest in a pair of Tanitas. I recently did 1,000 burpees and I took my measurements before and after on the Tanita scales, and afterwards I lost 1.1% body fat and gained 0.6 kilograms of muscle mass. I also did a 7-day fast for health benefits, and I used the Tanita scales to monitor my body composition, and even 8 weeks after the fast I'm still reaping the benefits of an increased muscle mass. I'll admit I do use the RD 545s, but these are going to do pretty much the same thing. One thing to mention is that I have measured myself using the 953s and the 545s, and the measurements of each one was pretty much the same. There was about 0.1 of a difference, but overall I was really pleased with the accuracy and the fact that the two models were pretty much exactly the same. If this video has given you a nudge in the direction of buying these scales, then I have put a product link in the description box. And I really hope that you found this video useful. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. If you've got any questions about the Tanita scales, then please put them in the comments box and I will try to answer them. I've got lots more videos planned for the next few weeks. I've just finished 30 days of yoga. I'm also finishing up doing breath work every day for 1 month. I did start a cold showers challenge, but it didn't go too well. And in January, I'm going to run 5 kilometres every day for 30 days because I'm really interested to see what effect it has on my body composition. So if you're keen to see those videos, then consider hitting the subscribe button. I'll put some other videos up on the screen right now that I think that you might like, including the RD 545. And thank you very much for watching.